This is a video response to your questions about your test, test 2. You sent me uh, a description of a couple of questions that gave you trouble on the test, and you wanted me to see if there were some mistakes there. I was not 100% sure if I identified the right questions, but one of them you said was that the graph was too small for you to see. And I looked through your answers and your questions on the test, and this was the only one I saw that you had wrong that involved graphs. So I just wanted to address how you would have known what the answer should be. Here's the correct answer. This is the one you chose. And these are not too small to be able to tell what the answer is. The reason is because you need to pay attention to what happens when you add something on the inside with where the x normally is by itself. So we're talking about parent functions here. So the parent function x squared looks like this. That's the most basic form. Now, if you put a negative out front of it, it's going to flip across the x-axis because all the y values will become negative. Now, if you add 5 on the inside with x, that's going to cause the x locations to shift to a side, either to the right or to the left. Now, the way that you can tell is whatever you see added on the inside there, that is going to move the opposite direction that you would normally expect. So if you see a +5, that means you move to the left. And if you see a -5, you would have moved to the right. So from the original parent function, by applying a negative on the outside and adding 5 on the inside of where x normally is alone, we've already flipped it and shifted it to the left 5 units. And then if you add 4 on the outside of that, that's going to shift all your y values up by 4. So just by seeing the function, what you would have thought, or what you should have thought, I guess is the best thing to say, is that I need to write it. It's too big here. Let me pause so I can format this better. Okay, so what I was going to say is that by looking at this, you knew it was going to flip upside down. By looking at this, you knew it was going to shift to the right, or I meant to say the left. And by looking at this, you knew it was going to shift up. All right, so from the origin, if something moves to the left and down, it would have to be in this quadrant. But here, it should have been to the left and up. So it was just that you were in the wrong, you had your vertex in the wrong quadrant. See, the vertex is normally right at the origin, right here, right? So shifting it to the left and up would put it in quadrant 2. So that's why you should have been able to select the correct answer from what was given there. Now, the next part that you had trouble with, it was, you described it in your email as f times g of -2. And I think maybe that's why you got it wrong, unless you just didn't know how to put the circle there. But this has a circle, not a multiplier. So the circle actually means composition, not multiplication. So competition, another way to write composition, meaning f composed with g, is you think of the g as being inside the f. like that. So what you do is you take the f function, and that's negative 7x plus 4, right? And then you come where the x is and you put the entire g function in its place. So now with red, I'm going to put in 2x squared minus 9x plus 3. All right, now that's actually what you would be doing if you were just trying to find a new function, and then you would simplify this and you would end up with a whole new function which represents f composed with g. But here they've given you a value of x that you can use, so the negative 2 can replace all the x's. And then it's just a mathematical calculation. And an even easier way to do it is to start with, first come up with g of negative 2, and then whatever you get for that, put it into f. Okay, so if I start with the second function mentioned, that's the one that I have to evaluate first, and then plug whatever I get as a result into the first function. So here, g of negative 2 would be equal to 2 times negative 2 quantity squared minus 9 times negative 2 plus 3. I forgot to put a multiplier somewhere, so let me put a multiplier right between these two. All right, so I got 29. Now I'm going to take 29 and replace it inside of the f function. So the f function, negative 7 times well, I guess I just don't need parentheses because it's not negative. Negative 7 times 29 plus 4 should be negative 199, and you can see that's the correct answer that you needed there. So if you were doing f times g, that would be a different story altogether. So f times g of negative 2, you would have calculated each separately, f of negative 2 and g of negative 2, and then you would have multiplied them together. So then you would have done negative 7 times negative 2 plus 4. And for g, we already did that one up here, so let's just use that again, 29. And then f times g of negative 2 would be the first one times the second one. And maybe that's what you were thinking would have been the answer. So you would have been right if it was times, but when it's an open circle like that, it means to compose, put one inside of the other. So I think those were your only two main questions. I'm just going to pause and check your email again to make sure I didn't miss something. Okay, yep, that was it. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this to YouTube as an unlisted video so that only people that I send the link will be able to see it. And I didn't mention your name anywhere in here or show any personal information. So even if somebody did accidentally see it, it won't reveal anything about you. And that's why I've been careful not to use your name. I know who you are. I'm going to go ahead and upload this so that I can easily share the link with you. And then you can follow up with me or come to my office hours to discuss this any further if you would like. I hope everything's going well. Talk to you soon.